Plato's The Republic is one of the most influential works in the history of philosophy. On the surface, it is a dialogue about justice, politics, education, and the ideal city. But underneath those themes, Plato is asking a much deeper question: what does it mean to live a well-ordered life? Through the voice of Socrates, Plato explores the relationship between the soul and society. He suggests that a disordered city reflects a disordered human being, and a disordered human being reflects a soul ruled by the wrong things. In that sense, The Republic is not only a political book. It is also a psychological and spiritual one. It asks us to examine what governs us: reason, appetite, ambition, truth, fear, or desire. Here are 5 lessons from Plato's The Republic. Lesson 1: Justice begins with inner order. One of the central questions of the Republic is, what is justice? At first, the conversation seems to be about laws, social roles, and political arrangements. But Plato gradually turns the question inward. He argues that justice is not only something that happens between people, it is also something that happens within the soul. For Plato, the human soul has different parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. Reason seeks truth and wisdom, spirit seeks honor and courage, and appetite seeks pleasure, comfort, and material satisfaction. A just person is not someone without desire, ambition, or emotion. A just person is someone whose inner life is properly ordered, where reason guides the other parts instead of being overpowered by them. Lesson 2: Power reveals the soul. One of the most famous challenges in the Republic comes through the story of the ring of Gyges. The ring makes its wearer invisible, allowing him to do whatever he wants without being seen or punished. The question is simple but disturbing: would a person still act justly if there were no consequences for injustice? Plato uses this story to expose the difference between appearing good and being good. Many people behave morally because they fear punishment, want approval, or need to protect their reputation. But if those pressures disappeared, what would remain? Plato suggests that true justice must be rooted in the condition of the soul, not merely in public image. Power, secrecy, and freedom from consequences do not create corruption from nothing, they reveal what was already untrained or disordered within a person. Lesson 3: The mind can mistake shadows for reality. Plato's allegory of the cave is one of the most famous images in all of philosophy. In the allegory, prisoners are chained inside a cave, seeing only shadows projected on a wall. Because they have never seen anything else, they mistake those shadows for reality. When one prisoner is freed and sees the world outside the cave, the truth is painful at first. His eyes hurt, his assumptions collapse, and he struggles to understand what is real. But once he sees the sun, he recognizes that the shadows were only a partial and distorted version of truth. Plato's point is that human beings often live inside illusions created by habit, culture, desire, fear, and opinion. Education is not simply adding information, it is turning the soul toward what is real. The cave still exists today. It may appear as social pressure, shallow entertainment, political manipulation, status anxiety, or the stories we tell ourselves to avoid change. Plato asks us to consider whether we want comfort, or whether we want truth, because truth often requires leaving what feels familiar. Lesson 4: Education is the turning of the soul. For Plato, education is not merely job training, memorization, or gathering useful facts. It is a transformation in the direction of attention. He believes that the soul already has the capacity to know, but it must be turned away from illusion and toward truth. This is why the allegory of the cave is also an educational story. The prisoner does not simply receive new information, he undergoes a painful reorientation. He has to let go of the world he thought was real. True education changes what a person loves, what they notice, what they admire, and what they are willing to pursue. It trains the mind not only to think, but to desire what is higher, truer, and more worthy. Lesson 5: The best life is guided by purpose, not appetite. Plato's vision of the just soul is deeply connected to purpose. When appetite rules, a person becomes driven by endless wanting, more pleasure, more possessions, more approval, more power, more stimulation. When spirit rules without wisdom, a person may become dominated by pride, anger, competition, or the need to win. But when reason governs, the person can organize desire and ambition toward a meaningful life. Plato does not deny the body, emotion, or social recognition. He is not asking us to become cold or detached from ordinary life. He is asking us to place the highest part of ourselves in charge. The good life is not the life where every desire is satisfied. It is the life where desire is educated by purpose. This lesson is especially relevant in a world that constantly encourages us to want more. Plato would ask whether our desires are serving our soul, or whether our soul has become a servant of its desires. Freedom is not doing whatever we want. Freedom is learning to want what is worthy. The Republic remains powerful because it connects politics, psychology, education, and morality into one larger vision. Plato teaches that a just society cannot exist without just people, and just people cannot exist without inner order. Power reveals the soul. Education turns us toward reality. The mind can confuse shadows for truth. And purpose must guide desire if we want to live well. Plato's questions are still uncomfortable because they reach beneath the surface of everyday life. The final lesson is simple: to change your life, you must first examine what governs your mind.
Hello. I am known as the narrator. Thank you for being here. I hope you take these lessons to heart and that you find them useful. Please join us for more wisdom from classic books and other interesting lessons.